about now. Hello and welcome to the Reds Report, proud to be part of the TalkSport Fans Network. Well, never a dull day being a Barnsley fan, as about 2.5 hours before the early morning or early afternoon kickoff against Bradford, the news broke that Barnsley FC and Hourihane are divorcing. On mutual good terms, they're still going to talk to each other apparently, but they have decided to go their separate ways. This was announced just before kickoff, and rather than sort of recording at the weekend, and we thought we settle this a bit, and what we need somebody to tell the good folk of Barnsley exactly how it is.
And he couldn't come, so it's me, unfortunately.
we're hoping that Ian will join us long evening at work, or he's in the pub. It's one of the two. But Steve is with. So first of all, Steve, how we doing, mate?
After watching that video again, and you just think, well, he's not going to be here next season, and he's not going to be here next season, and wow.
First of all, the statement that was brought out, and you know, everybody will have their ideas what it's about. We'll never know. My personal feeling is I think Hourihane was maybe a little bit more ambitious than what the board want to be. We know McGoldrick is a really good friend. He probably wanted him to stay, but money being money. So my feeling, this is all money driven. But anyway, they are divorcing. How do we feel about that, Steve?
Well, if you'd have asked me, I suppose, less than probably 5 or 6 weeks ago, I'd have been really disappointed about it, I think. But over the last few games, I suppose my opinion has changed quite a bit, mainly fueled by what I think has been poor team selection and poor substitutions, in-game management, call it what you want. I'm not saying that Connor were all in and you know, really invested in the club, but maybe that is the reason why that is going, because the board don't have his vision. They certainly don't want to spend their money on his vision. They'll prove that when players that are out of contract go, because they'll be wanting to cut wage bill even more, I would have thought. So I suppose, in a way, and especially after last night's game, maybe it's time for a change. Somebody else.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's the game against Bradford. We can only call it a very stupid, whatever you want to call it, momentary lapse of concentration or a stupid mistake or decision by Vimal Yoganathan in front of the ref to sive somebody down, straight red card. Then you think you're up against it, and Bradford are in fantastic form. And I'll be honest, I drove home and I was so impressed how with 10 men, we played better than we probably have done, 90% with 11 men. And I wondered where that desire came from. Maybe that's a new tactic. Get somebody sent off early and those 10 give an extra 10%. Because the result, fantastic, you know, 2-2, you take that against a team like Bradford, who are right
oh, God,
there.
yeah.
But that's then followed up by a showing at, well, it wasn't even a showing at Stevenage. I mean, the defence, it felt, I tell you what it felt like. It felt a little bit like how maybe Lincoln would have been playing, or how maybe Coventry would have been playing after getting promotion. You know, when you just, it all slips a bit and it's all not very good.
Just throw it away. Well, let's face it, last night, you might as well have said we were playing with 10 men, maybe even 9 at times, because I'm not being funny. I put a comment on Twitter, and, you know, say tight is, if Shepherd never wears another Barnsley shirt for as long as he lives, it won't be a sad thing, because he's been poor. He put him back inside, admittedly in a position that he can't play in because he ain't a left back. He were garbage last night. He were absolutely. He weren't even Sunday morning football standard. He was shocking. So we played with 10 men yesterday. I've got to say, Stevenage created some fantastic chances. They could have had 5 or 6. And it's a good job they can't finish. Oh, they're offside.
Well, but they're not hugely well-known names. Relatively low budget. Look at the crowds, They did, and the way they've got there. Really
you've
quietly.
got to say about that crowd, because even our lass commented on it because she was sick of hearing them. But they never shut up for 90 minutes. Now, admittedly, they're in a fantastic position pushing for playoffs. But that's how it can be. That's the crowd that you can have when they're saying, "Oh, well, how can we connect with as fan base again, and how can we build that atmosphere?" That's how you build that atmosphere. You get a team on pitch that play together, play semi-decent football, created some chances, and like you said, no, there weren't anybody there that were particularly a big name. I certainly hadn't heard of really anybody on their side, but yeah, all right, they played together, but it was exciting to watch. They created chances, and the crowd fed off that, and it were like backwards and forwards then. And if that's what they want down at Oakwell, I mean, admittedly, they did have a drum, which I'm not a big fan about, but that's beside the point.
I had heard it for a while, but yeah.
Oh, which is a good thing. But that's what you can have, because I'm sure Stevenage haven't got a bigger budget than us.
No, well, you'd like to think so.
And crowd-wise, I wouldn't have thought they're getting, well, not as many as we get. I know they're looking forward to playing Tottenham, apparently, listening to their commentator last night. He were crap and all, weren't he? Weren't he boring him? He were 8 monotone. I mean, I complain about Callum on bloody iFollow, but he were just as bad.
I watched it on Sky Plus, and in fairness, I mean, the title of this week's episode is Our Own Downfall, and they were his words at the end, that Barnsley caused their own downfall. And I think, to be fair, that's the story of our season.
Oh, yeah.
There's been matches where we've not been outplayed, but it's been a silly goal. And we've talked so much about the silly goals. Up to kickoff yesterday, 14 wins, 14 draws, 14 losses. Obviously, it's an extra loss now because we lost that one yesterday. And the number of games that we can think of where, Shepherd's made a mistake, or the keeper made a howl, or this, we've been our worst enemy. We have. And I still think Stevenage, congratulations to them, overachieving, absolutely fantastic. Proper night. It looked like a decent football club, not well-known names, but they get a team together that play for each other, that know their position, that play every match in the same manner. They stick to the game plan. Clearly, decent manager, absolutely fantastic. And I know he said afterwards, Hourihane, that because there's only 3 games now, that the club, I think, have asked him to look further on. So, Nukwali, Kalachi.
I'll bet they've asked him. Yeah. I bet they've told him, because such as Gent's our player, etc., get him played. And I'm not being funny,
our player. Yeah.
It was definitely a different game when Gent came on. It makes 100%. Such a difference actually having a left-sided defender playing at left back. Why that kid's not being involved more? Whether Hourihane's got a problem with him or a problem with his attitude or whatever, there comes a time in a football club where you've got to put that behind you. When you cross that white line, you're playing for a shirt. You might not like your teammate. You might not get on with your teammates. I'm not asking you to sleep with them. I'm asking you to pass a ball to them. And to be honest, some of them struggled with that last night. But what a difference it is playing players in their correct positions.
It's weird you said that, because I wanted to mention that he said in the press before that he expects certain standards. Carlo, obviously, earlier in the season didn't adhere to those standards. He turned up late after pre-season training and blah, blah, blah. And obviously, Georgie Gent was the same. I get that completely. But if he is the best player in that position at that moment in time, I think you need to go about it the different way. He should have an automatic right to play, even if he's acting like a whatever behind the scenes. But to be fair to fans, to be fair to the club, I know you can uphold standards, and so you should. But it's like at work. They don't say to you, you know what, Steve? You know, you're not upholding the standards like we want. So we want you to go home and have a good think about it. And until you can do it, that's when you come back. They don't, do they? You get a rollicking, you get a warning.
I wish they would.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? And it's like, you said it. He came on yesterday. I love the fact that then down that side with Cleary and Gent, it seemed to have a bit of pace about him. Plus, he can put a decent ball in. You know what I mean? And I just thought, why have we waited for this? And I know it was second half. He made 3 changes because obviously he wasn't very good. But it just felt like, I get he wasn't happy with the standards. I get it completely. Honestly, I do. Can't we punish him by withholding 20% of his wage or something? Right? Because I think it's at the cost of the club, the fans, and everything else, isn't it?
Oh, that's been proven. That's been proven. Yeah. Definitely.
3 matches. Obviously, we've got Luton, Northampton, Stockport. Now, Luton and Stockport, 2 in or around that area. I'm not going to do any previews or anything like that, but I suppose it'd be fair to say that these players will continue to be involved, I suppose, won't they? Because the club will be keen to see whether they're ready for another season in League One.
Look at who we're potentially going to have next season. See, for me, your likes of
shall I give you a list, Steve?
Go on, let's have contract? Go on, let's do that.
So on the contract, so no question asked unless a bit comes in. On the contract are Jackson Smith and Kieran Flavel in goal. You've got Corey O'Keefe, Georgie Gent, Connor Barrett, Josh Earl, and Casper Lopata. Patrick Kelly, Jonathan Bland, Vimal Yoganathan, Luca Connell, Kelechi Nwakali, Charlie Lennon, Reyes Cleary, Fabio Giallo. They're all in contract. You've got 4 players that are out of contract, but we have an option for an extra year. So we can, if we wanted to. Those players are, and I'll ask you for a thumbs up or thumbs down. Well, we know the first one. The first one is Jack Shepherd.
No, get shut. Get
out. Mal de Javigny.
Sign him. Got to sign him. Best defender we've got. Don't care what anybody says. O'Connell's going to go. De Givney's got to stay.
Adam Phillips.
Board will want to get rid because he'll be one at top earners. That'll be a money one, that. He'll go.
Max Watters.
Oh.
Exactly. Out of contract or out end of loan. And here comes some familiar names. Owen Goodman. Mark Roberts.
Shouldn't have played last night, Owen Goodman. No. He's not going to be here, so why bother playing him? He should have come back in after Flavel played. But
Ogbeta, O'Connell, Watson, Barry Cotter, who's obviously out alone already, John Russell, out alone already, Tom Bradshaw, Andy Dallas, David McGoldrick, Scott Banks, and Tawanda Chirawa.
They're all going they're not going to say keep any on him. They'll not keep any on him.
Because if you look at the players that are on there, Patrick Kelly will have been on the proviso like they do. It was his first permanent contract. It'll be a relatively low earner. Make a name for yourself. Move on to bigger and better things after a couple of seasons. So Smith, O'Keefe, Kelly, Bland, Yoganathan, and Reyes Cleary are all till 2028. Charlie Lennon is till 2029. So,
Cleary, let's face it, Cleary's going.
Yeah.
He weren't bad last night, to be fair, but last 3 or 4, well, let's be honest, since Liverpool game, he's done bugger all. I know he gets flashes now and again, but he's just not consistent. I tell you, he reminds me of Adam Phillips 2 or 3 seasons ago. Shows up when he wants to, has a fantastic game 1 week, and then he'll go 3 or 4 weeks playing like an absolute donkey, or just what a waste of time he is, and they'll have another good game, and everybody will think he's God's gift. But he'll go. Cleary will go, because it's only one really that's a saleable asset.
Yeah, I mean, you could look maybe not saleable. Well, he probably is, but not for as much money. I think Patrick Kelly's got a bright future. I know he's a bit of an unpolished diamond, because you can see he does all the right things and then it goes wrong, whatever. But what I admire about Patrick Kelly, and I'll say it again, is he wants to go forward, doesn't he? He wants to take people on. He's not about sideways passing or backward. He head down and he just goes.
He needs polishing. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
He needs polishing. But I think we'd be foolish, like you say, he'll not be on big money. I think we'd be foolish to let him go, unless it were a silly offer. But I think we'd be foolish to let Kelly go. I really do.
Against Bradford, we saw the return of Josh Earl, because he'd been out through injury. I like Earl. I just think sometimes he's and he's not, because he's not that old, but he seems like quite experienced, and he does sometimes the simple things right. But when I told somebody at work, they absolutely tore me another one because they think he should never step foot inside Oakwell again. What's just sort of your opinion of Josh Earl?
He's better than Shepherd. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The issue I've got with Earl is, he's always got a bit of a rick in him now and again. However, you're back to pace. Let's face it. It's like turning an oil tanker when he turns round. He's slow beyond belief. Whether he's decent on ball or not, he's very slow. You put two centre. I mean, if you play him in left-hand side at back two, you've got to have somebody with some pace with him, because he just can't cope with pace at all.
It's when you look at the list, you think, I know it's horrible. To be fair, if you keep hold of the players you've got, so let's ignore Reyes Cleary. Let's take Cleary out of it. You've got Flevel Smith in goal. You've got O'Keefe, Gent, Barrett, Earl, Lopata. I know you need to put more defenders in, but you've got a start there, haven't you, to build something around. Midfield, Bland, Kelly, Yoganathan, Connell, Nwakali. I mean, there's five there. Up front, or wide players, obviously you've got Jallo and Charlie Lennon. I mean, there is the bare bones there, but my worry is now the way it seems that the club seems to be going, that you're not going to get any League One players in there, are you? You're going to get League Two, if we're lucky, if not lower down.
Or foreigners.
Well, yeah.
That's what we're going to get. I mean, let's face it, with such as Kelly, we dropped on. He's been probably if not one of the signings at season, the way that he's played. If we could drop on with that again, that's your bit of light at end at tunnel. But I think goalkeeper wise, Jackson Smith's been tearing it up at Grimsby. I know, and it's only Grimsby, no offence, but he's been keeping clean sheets for fun. See, that to me also says a lot about their defence. Maybe we should be looking at Grimsby's defence if to bring somebody in. I think we are going to have to strengthen in all positions, and I know every season we have same conversation. We need strikers. We know we do, but we're going to need another right back. I like Tanai Watson. I'd like Tanai Watson to stay, but he don't play him as a right back. Plays him as a left back. What's that all about? Yeah, he sent O'Keefe to Stockport because he was shite. He's brought him back and he's put him back in exactly the same position, and he's still shite. He's decent going forward. He can't defend. He's not a defender at all. He lost ball numerous times last night, and he's done it over the last few games. So this is again comes back to Hourihane not playing people in the correct position. Tanai Watson should have been right back and first name on sheet for the last God knows how many weeks, because he's been brilliant there. No. But he's changed. Yeah. We've not had a settled back four for months.
No. Where do we go from here? So the club
I was thinking about going up to Jed's, going up to Goba Tap for a pint. That's what I was thinking.
But the club will be looking for a new head coach. We said before we recorded. You could talk about, because names are already bended about, of Darren Moore. We know that's not going ahead. They're looking at Notts County and all this. But then I think, who in the right mind? Because what is the coaches should be ambitious, shouldn't they? We want this. But if you want that, and the board says, we've only got money for this, it's a bit of a poison chalice.
I mean, it doesn't entice you to come in, does it? It's not.
No. So
it's not exciting for you.
Could they recruit from within, do you think? Can you see a Tom Harben getting it?
If they want to do it on cheap,
well,
quite possibly. I mean, somebody put something on Twitter yesterday, which I found quite amusing, and that were Didsey as coach, which I thought, well, that wouldn't surprise me either. They've done it before. But I think
Didsey wants to keep playing, though, doesn't he?
Well,
he says he's got another season in him. The main reason he came here was Connor. He's not heard from the club, but you'd like to think with 3 matches to go, we know we're not going down. Definitely
it's disgraceful.
So, you think, and I know you started this conversation a good 3-4 years ago, maybe, but to me, we find ourselves again towards the end of the season looking for another head coach, going into another season, blah, 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 is the lack of a football person at that very top level, isn't it? Or at least as a link. Somebody.
I think it's a lack of a football person anywhere in club, to be honest. Let's face it, you've got a consortium that you'd think should know something about football. They've taken enough clubs to the wall and put enough clubs out of business to know something about football, but it obviously never registers. But we've said it before, all they're interested in is bottom line. You'd think, we know if you buy a football club, you're not going to make money. A sensible person does not buy a football club to make money. They buy football clubs. Your Saudis buy football clubs because it's something to brag about and it's something to do on a Saturday, and they get to travel all over the place, especially if they've got, Champions League stuff and all that sort of thing. So it's either a toy or it's a way of promoting their own business. Because at the end of the day, they want to make money. You don't get a consortium in to lose money. That's why they're wanting to slash wage bill. That's why they're trying to make it more inviting for fans to come. But what they don't get is the fact that if the product on the pitch is shit, nobody's going to come.
No.
Even though we pay us money and we pay us season tickets, and they say, oh yeah, your crowd today is 11,000, blah, 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 blah. Load of bollocks. It's not at all. You look at them stands. You're lucky if there's 6,000 there, because your season ticket holders, who incidentally have paid to have their opinions, don't, it's their choice not to go.
It's, and we're back to, and it is, isn't it, that it's been deadly silent all season. I remember there was a fan engagement forum, was it early on in the season, but the file was corrupted, so they couldn't put it on YouTube, which we've not heard.
But was that another one of them, select few, let's pick who actually comes and speaks at it? That's, you know what I mean?
I don't know. When it's for an engagement forum, you can buy, the free, but you can order or reserve a ticket. But I know there's not been many. We're losing yet another head coach, mutual decision, which is great. Clearly, they are thinking they have different maybe expectations or whatever from the club. I get it. I get that these are business people. I get that because of the money, like you said. But I can't help but think that this could have maybe avoided if they prepared better for January, knowing full well Keeler Dunn was going to go. And I know Tom Bradshaw, and I see him running, and he does put his shift in. And if somebody says, oh, no, he does. And, he's got a couple of goals, great. But there should have been somebody else coming in. There should have been somebody else, because Didsey's injured. So Tom Bradshaw is expected, I suppose, to last 90 minutes. If not, obviously, they put the new lad in. It's just a bit of a mess. And again, we don't hear anything. Julianne Key, as good as she is for putting in the money, was all over social media, and Bardsley, they were on a thingy in the, wherever it was, in New York or whatever. But actually, from a marketing point of view, where are we? Are we getting other people involved? Have we got more sponsors on board? Because it just seems it's very stagnant, isn't it? Nothing is really. We don't hear from them. We know they're not well because they're not setting the seat. So it's just this. But how would you sum the season up? Because I know you're going on holiday, so we'll probably won't do another one this season. We'll see maybe a couple of weeks after, when we've calmed down and we know the new head coach is. How would you sum it up?
I think at start of season, with an unproven manager that we had, if we'd turned around then and said, you know what, we're going to finish, if we finish probably about 8th or 9th, but we've created a style, we've created an identity again, I think most fans would have been happy with that.
Yeah.
But the season we've had started off okay, but it's just never reached any heights where you think there's a potential to go any further.
No.
You know, we were in a good position. We like 5 games in hand at one point.
Yeah.
And people are getting excited, and rightly so, until Boyd pulls rug out from under your feet. And from then on, let's face it, it's been an absolute nosedive. It really has.
Yeah.
The players haven't helped themselves.
No.
Hourihane's not helped himself. I still say some of his squad selections have been very questionable, really. Same with some of his in-match tactics. I think that's where he's definitely slipped up. I think he'd have been better off bringing in somebody with more experience as his assistant. I'm not saying Andy Keogh isn't any good. He can't be though, can he? Because let's face it, defence is shocking.
Yeah.
But he'd have been better off bringing somebody else in, older, that could have been like a mentor to him and actually helped him along.
Yeah.
You just look at the season yet again, and you just think, why?
Yeah.
Why? And people have turned up. Yeah, I've paid my season ticket money, but people go home and away. Them people that went down to Stevenage last night, I take my hat off to them. I really do. But for God's sake,
I agree.
It must be soul destroying. It's soul destroying for me, and I'm sick of being so negative every time we have a conversation. But you give me a bit of a light to end it, to just something to hold on to.
I know,
and I'd be happy with that. But they can't even.
There isn't though. There isn't, and I was chuckling to myself on Saturday when, you know, the warming up, and then you see Andy Keogh taking the 4 defenders or 3 defenders, whoever's playing at the back, and you know, he either throws it or he kicks it, and you know, they come out and they head it out, and I'm thinking, that's never been the problem. The heading the ball out. The problem's been with the ball at the feet is finding a teammate and playing it square, and it's too wide, too high, or it gets intercepted. It's not even something to me that you can train on. That's what makes you a League 2, League 1 footballer. And I'm not saying they shouldn't make mistakes, but this season, I'd say more than any, I'd like to think 35% of the losses you can directly point at, look, he lost it, boom, goal, or, you know, or the keeper or somebody. And it's just, listen,
it's decision making. I think a lot of it has been poor. I mean, some passing of it games we've watched has been atrocious, and then some weeks it's brilliant. But it's the decisions, and you watch it. All right, you watch it from armchair, and if you watch Bayern and Madrid other night, you can see him making runs, and because you're obviously watching it on telly, you say, "Oh, look, he's that's an out ball there, and he's gone that way, and he's gone that way." And look, they're finding players, and you think they're making the right choice every time. Do I pass it to him or do I pass it to him? I'll pass it to him, and that's the right choice. We look at it. I mean, there was one ball last night that Shepherd passed straight to a Stevenage player. What was he thinking? Because there were no way on God's earth was that ball, the way he kicked it, ever getting to a Barnsley player.
And
but
they all did,
didn't they? Like that.
Shepherd, Roberts, I mean, even O'Connell, which very unlike him, but he had a couple of times where you thought, oh, you know, but it's,
Well, let's face it, there's 3 matches. There's 3 matches left. You've got Hourihane stood on touchline. He couldn't give a monkey's chuff now. He's done. He's finished. He's out at door at end of season. He couldn't care less what's going off on pitch. I don't care what anybody says. He couldn't. He's taking his money. They've made the decision. In 3 games' time, he's gone. Couldn't give a chuff. Some of them players, which are loan players, which shouldn't be playing, why play them now?
No.
Unless there's something that says you've got to play them while ever they're here. That kid from Wolves. Why are we even talking about that kid from Wolves? He played for about 10 minutes and then fucked off again.
Well, he was injured,
Do you
wasn't
know
he?
what I
And he
mean?
went back to Wolves, and he's back now again. But yeah, well, exactly.
But he's
'cause
not
if you're
even getting inside, so he
No.
can't be any good. This is what I'm saying. The players that are going to be here next season, for me, should be playing now for the next 3 games. Don't care what Hourihane says. Not to do with him. He's not going to be here. Flavel in net, get him playing. Gent, Dejivnik, get these players playing. And at least then we can see, well, we know what we need for next season, let's be honest. But it's pointless playing players that's not going to be here.
No, because I think, and I'm not maybe saying a Mark Roberts because he has got that connection to his club. It's his, hometown club. But I think, and I agree, and I think, a Georgie Gent, Bland,
Leo Farrell,
Kelly,
young lad up front.
Yeah.
Brought him back from his loan. And what's he had? 2 sub-appearances. 3 sub-appearances, I think.
Yeah.
And
he scored. Yeah, scored a goal.
He's going to be here. He's going to be here next season. Bradshaw, it runs about, blah, blah, blah. We've seen that all before. Coley Woodrow did that. We got shut her in.
Yeah. And we're not going to play Bradshaw money next year if they're slashing the budget.
Yeah. Play the players that are going to play next season or might possibly play next season.
So next season they'll start. Next season
I
they'll
see
start.
Liam Rossignol's out in a job.
Yes,
he's got 6 years money. 6 years money in his back pocket. So maybe we can get him. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
He's available.
He'll not want paying. He's got more money than anybody's got. So he might.
I just think we could potentially be looking forward next season in League One. And Barry Cotter could be playing again. John Russell could be playing again.
Yes,
we might get a chance of seeing. We might see Andy Dallas in a red shirt. You just never know.
He's been scoring though, hasn't he? He's been scoring goals from where he's been.
And I genuinely think the scoring hasn't been an issue this season. It has been. It's been defence because we're in the top 5 for scoring, but we're 3 clean sheets. What more do we need to say? There's your season right there, isn't it? 3 clean sheets. Steve, I know that you're absolutely gutted not to be watching the last game of the season because you're off for a well-deserved sun-drenched holiday in the Mediterranean. Enjoy yourself. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Our little WhatsApp group will keep you updated of who's playing well, who's not playing well. And then in between an ice cold pint, just have a look at your phone now and then. And we'll see. But probably maybe in a few weeks, the 3 of us will get together and we will.
Hopefully, Ian will be back from clinic by then.
Yeah, well, it's a recurrence of the same infection again, apparently. But he said it's spread to his range as well. So
it's a wonder he can walk. It's a wonder he can walk, that lad.
They did say if the wart's open, it's really horrible anyway. So we wish him all the best. Yeah,
what a performer.
He battles, doesn't he? Battles. Steve, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Enjoy your well-deserved holiday. You've been listening to the Reds Report. We'll try and get together in a few weeks for an end-of-season get-together with report cards and whatever else. Maybe not report cards. Maybe we'll just have a beer and talk about how good life is without football. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks.